Okay, Bacha, I made you.
Ready to begin?
Oh, yeah, we're ready to roll. Let me just share the screen. Give me a sec.
Looking for it now. Why doesn't, oh, here it is. I have it.
One second.
There you go.
All right.
Here we are. Everybody see on screen?
Yes.
Okay, Yosef,
All right.
all yours.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, a big shout out for a special birthday today. Rabbi Fine Senior, my father's birthday today. It should be a special day with a lot of mazel and a lot of brachas to you and to your Rambam family.
Amen. Thank
Amen.
you.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
At the end of the class today, you can all chime in and give in your blessings.
Beautiful.
Mitzvahs. Okay, let's begin. Perek Sheni. Mitzvahs. Mitzvah semen ater lashvis achametz koydem zman isa achilas shnema b'yem arishin tashvis semen techim pnei Yeshua lamdu sherishin zehu yom arba asar. So it is a biblical commandment to make sure to destroy all the chametz before the time of that you're not allowed to eat it anymore, because it says in the Torah that on that first day you should destroy the chametz from your places, and the rabbis learned that that's referring to the day before Pesach. How do we know this? Because it says in the Torah you should not slaughter the Passover, the Passover sacrifice while you have chametz, which means you got to get rid of the chametz first. And the slaughtering was on the 14th day, because it doesn't say the 14th day clearly in the Torah. It says Yom Rishon. But because it says that referring to slaughtering of the Passover, the Passover sacrifice, so that's how we know that the same thing is done even when you don't have the Passover sacrifice. Number two, what do you have to do? You have to totally nullify it and say that if I have any chametz, the chametz is considered to dirt and worth, has no value to me. So that's the biblical commandment. Now, what's the rabbinic commandment? They double down and they say now, they say, you know what we have today that we call that we have today about the idea of going out to check for the 10 pieces of chametz in the homes. That is the rabbinic commandment. And what you do is you go around and you check all over your homes and all the different places to see if there's chametz. Why do you do it at night? Because that's when people are home. Don't create any seminars or any learning, and also someone that's a scholar shouldn't spend this time learning. He should be checking for chametz. You shouldn't use the sun for light or a flame. You should specifically use a candle, because then you can see all the different you could see every place. There's not going to be any dark places. If you're outside and the sun is bright, then you can use that. In the middle of your courtyard, you don't need to check, because there's a lot of birds and they will eat it up. If you have a hole between two homes, the person on one side should check as much as he can, and the other person on the other side should check as much as he can, and the rest you should just nullify it. If you have a wall between you and a Gentile, don't start putting your hands in there, because he's going to think that you're doing witchcraft, or you're so just leave it alone and just nullify it. Number 6. Vigag hayotzia v'refetz baka v'lulin u'masbein v'oitzis yain v'oitzis shem she'enu mistapik b'haren u'beis dagim g'doydim ein tzarich v'dika elim kenichnes lam chametz. So let's say you have places that you don't bring food in there. You have a roof and you have a place where the animals are, or you have places that you store things in for wine or for oil, or places where you keep large fish. There you don't have to check because you don't bring chametz. But other places that you will bring chametz, for example, there where you store beer or wine or smaller fish, or where you put wood or different things, there you got to check. But if you know, certain people have rules, no food here. If you know that there is no chametz there, then you don't need to check. When you do check a place that has barrels, for example, you don't have to go through all the barrels all the way to the end. You just need to check the first 2 rows, and then you're fine. Number 7. If you don't have to worry, a place that there is that you don't bring chametz, you don't have to worry that a little small animal, a rat or something, is going to bring chametz there. Because if you're going to worry about that, then you gotta have to worry about there's no end to worry in that way. So you do you, and you're good. Now, if you know for sure that an animal touched the stuff, then you need to check again. Like, what's the example they bring here? If you put out 10 pieces to the night before Passover, and you only found 9, so obviously something happened there, and it's possible an animal took it and moved it from one place to the next. So then you got to check again. If you So, and another example, if you saw a mouse that came into the house and had bread in its, you saw it and it had bread in its mouth, you have to check again. Even though if you follow them, you come to a room and you see there is crumbs there, so you may think that the mouse ate the full bread and this is just the crumbs. Nevertheless, maybe the crumbs were there from before and the mouse took it somewhere else, so you got to check. If you actually found that bread that was in the mouth of the mouse, you're good. If you didn't, then you got to check the whole house. Number 9. If a child came in with some bread, and then you came in after and you see that there is crumbs on the floor, then we say most probably the child ate the bread and these are the crumbs. Just sweep up the crumbs and you're good. Why? Because a child leaves crumbs. Mouses don't leave crumbs. But if you didn't find any crumbs, then you got to go find this piece of bread. If, let's say, you had 9 pieces of matzah and 1 of chometz, right? And a mouse came and took 1, but you don't know if it took from the 9 of the matzah or it took the 1 of the chometz. And it went into a house that was already checked. So we say in this case, you have to check, but because it's kavua means that the 9 and the 1 is in a specific place. Because it's coming from a specific place, we don't say that it's 90% that it was matzah and 10% that it was 1. Because it comes from a specific place, we say it's 50-50. Because it's 50-50. Either they took matzah or they took chometz, right? So it's called kol kavua. It's a general rule. So in this case, because it's 50-50, therefore you have to go check. Number 11. Shnei siburin. So now if you have a sorry about that. So let's say you have two tzibur, meaning you have 2 piles. Let's do like this. You have 1 chametz pile and you have 1 matzah pile. Now you have 2 homes. 1 home that was checked and 1 home that wasn't checked. The best case scenario is the one that the chametz went into the house that wasn't checked, because then you're checking again, and the matzah went into the house that was checked, but we don't know. Okay, so that's one case. Now, there's another case is, let's say you have two homes that were checked, and you have a pile of chametz, and it came a mouse and took, but we don't know which house it went into. That's another one. Another example. Or we know which house it went into and you checked it and you don't find anything. Or you went in and you checked it and you found the piece of chametz. Or in these cases, there was nine. This final case is that there was 9 matzah, 1 chametz, and now one piece left that place, and we don't know if it's chametz or matzah. And then after it left that place, a mouse came and took it. In these cases, it's not kavua. Kavua means it's not that set place. Only when it's kavua do we say 50-50. In these cases, it's not 50-50 anymore. It's more of a possibility that it's matzah, and then therefore you don't have to check for all the cases that we said. So those cases, you don't have to check. Number 12. Let's say you put chametz in this corner and you found it in a different corner, or you put down 9 and you found more, you found 10, or a mouse actually did take chametz, but we don't know where it went. In all these cases, you need to check again. Number 13. Nichnas achbar labayis v'kikar bepiv yatsa achbar misham v'kikar bepiv. Let's say you saw a mouse going in with chametz, and then a mouse going out with chametz. We say it's probably the same. We say it's probably the same mouse, and you don't need to check. Of course, if the one going in was black and the one coming out was white mouse, then you have to check. Nichnas achbar v'kikar bepiv yatsa misham chulda v'kikar bepiv tzarich livdok. Let's say a mouse went in with bread and came out a cat with the bread in their mouth, then you need to check. But if a mouse went in,
A weasel.
what is that? It's not a
Weasel.
cat, it's a weasel.
Weasel.
Okay, so if let's say the mouse went in and a weasel came out, then we say you have to check. It's most probably a different bread. But if the mouse went in with bread and a weasel comes out with a mouse and the bread, then obviously you don't have to check. If you see a snake going in with bread, you don't gotta get involved. Leave the snake. Number 14. If you have chametz on a very high place in your house, on top of a beam, let's say, you may say, just leave it there. We say, no, it may fall during Pesach, so therefore you have to go up and get it. But if it's deep in a pit, then we're not worried that you're going to be able to see it on chametz on Pesach, so therefore you can leave it. The whole idea of checking and the whole idea of all of this, why the rabbis did this was in order, we're afraid that you're going to see it on Pesach and forget it's Pesach. So any scenario in these cases, that's why you have to get rid of the chametz, because according to the Torah, you could just be mevatlet, you could just nullify it. But we're afraid that that's why in these cases, if there is that worry, therefore you have to make sure you take care of that. Number 15. If you made like kind of a heap out of se'or, out of barley, out of yeast, and you if you took yeast and you made it in order to sit down on it, if you smeared it with something on top of it, then it's nullified. If you have dough and the cracks of what you used to knead, then if there's a kazayis, you got to take care of it. If you use it in order to reinforce, to cover holes or things like that, then it's nullified. If not, you have to burn it or nullify it. Now, what if you have, like, it's all around this piece of this machine that you're using, and there's little pieces, but there's strings of dough connecting it. So if you grab this string of dough and both pieces come, then it's considered one piece. And if it's a kazayas, you have to deal with it. But if you pull the piece and the pieces don't come, then it's separate pieces and you're good. Number 16. When is all of this talking? When does all of this apply? When we're talking about a
Kneading
kneading
trough.
Kneading trough. Only talking about kind of a professional machine that you're using to dough, that there's so much dough and there's so much bread, you're fine. But at home, he says, sometimes you do take those pieces and you do, use it again. So that even if it's less, you have to worry about it. He says, what if you have a chatzis, you have a half a, remember, the amount is a kazais that you have to worry about. What if you have half a kazais upstairs, then a half downstairs, a half on this wall, half on that wall? In all of these cases, since it's not not together, then you don't have to worry. Number 17. If let's say you're taking an Airbnb, I don't know, Airbnb wouldn't be a good example maybe, but if you're renting a house on the 14th day, meaning on Erev Pesach from a Yid, so that's what Airbnb may not be the great example. It's considered that it was checked. You don't have to worry. Most probably it was checked. If you're not sure if it was checked, but the woman or the child said it was checked, it's fine. It's considered checked. Because everybody's believed when it comes to checking for chametz, and everyone's kosher to check. Like women, a servant, or a child, as long as the child can understand a little bit what it means to check. Number 18. So now, what happens if you're renting out somebody and it's on the 14th day? Whose obligation is it to check? So if you only gave, if the 14th day, if Erev Yom Tov started and you still didn't give the key, then the renter, the one that's renting has to check. But if you gave the keys before the 14th day started, then the one that is renting has to check. Let's say you thought it would be checked, but then you found that it wasn't. You can't consider that they swindled you or they cheated you. You just got to check it. Even if it's a place that you got to rent somebody, it's a mitzvah. Enjoy it. Number 19. Now, what if you're leaving town? This is very relevant to many people. If you're leaving town for Pesach, if you're leaving within 30 days of Pesach, you got to check before you leave. But if you leave before 30 days, you don't have to check. If you leave, regardless when you leave, but if you plan on coming back before Pesach, you have to check before you leave, because we're afraid you're going to come back right before Pesach and not have time to check. But if you're not planning on coming back, then you don't need to check. Also, if you decide to make a place for storage within 30 days of Pesach, you got to check it and then put the stuff in. If it's 30 days before, if you plan on emptying it out, if it's before 30 days and you plan on emptying it out before Pesach, then you got to check before you put in the stuff. But if you're not planning on, you're good and you don't have to check. And with that, we concluded chapter number 1 for today. And a big mazel tov to my dear father. It should be a year of major success and health and nachas and only brachas.
Amen. Thank you for the brachas, and thank you for the teachings. All right, next up to bat.
Okay, chapter number 3. Yeah, also wanted to wish a happy birthday to my father, Ashnas Hatzlacha, wishing a successful year, begashmis and beruchnis in physical and spiritual pursuits. Halacha Aleph number 1. When a person goes ahead and he's checking for the chametz on the 14th night, the night of the 14th day of the month of Nisan, so you take out all the chametz, all the leavened bread, all the bread from the holes, from mechbais, from different holes in the wall. Different hidden places. Machbais, hidden places. Min azavius, from the corners. He takes it all together and he puts it in one place until the next day, until the beginning of the 6th hour, and that's when he burns it, gets rid of it. If he wants to do it at night already, he's allowed to. Number 2, Chometz. The Chometz, what he's leaving over to eat, you're allowed to eat Chometz until the 4th hour. So the food, the Chometz that he's leaving until the next day, he shouldn't leave it all over the place in all places. He should hide it in a vessel or in a corner that he knows about. And he should be very careful. Because if he's not careful and he comes back and he says, hold on a second, there was 3 loaves of bread, now there's only 2 loaves of bread, now he has to go look for it. He has to do dikas chametz all over again, because maybe the mice have schlepped it around, dragged it somewhere else. Number 3. What if Erev Pesach, the 14th day of the month of Nisan, comes out on Shabbos? So then you check for the chametz the night before Erev Pesach, which is Thursday night. True, Leil Shalish Asar, it's the night of the 13th. And then he has to put away more chametz because he can eat it until the 4th hour of Shabbos. And he hides it, and the rest he burns and he gets rid of before Shabbos. What happens if he didn't finish? He left over food for himself to eat, but there's more left over until and it's already coming to the 4th hour. Now you're not allowed to eat chametz anymore, but you can't burn it either, right? It's Shabbos. So he nullifies it, the kaifel of keli, and he covers it with a vessel until Chol Hamoed, and then Chol Hamoed he can burn it. Number 4, how you like if he had a bunch of loaves of bread that belonged to Truma, and he couldn't eat it and has to burn it out of Shabbos, he has to burn it out of Shabbos. He should not mix it up with the regular chametz that he's burning before Pesach. He should keep them separate. He has 3. There's 3 categories. The holy one, the truma, that he has to burn by itself. The food that's not truma, the regular bread, he has to burn for itself. And then tluya, the one that he wasn't sure if it's truma or not, so that also a 3rd category he has to burn separately. And then you should leave over from the pure things until the 4th hour of Shabbos, and that's it. Halacha hey, number 5. If someone forgot or was on purpose, and he didn't check on the 14th night, so it's not too late. You could do it Erev Pesach in the morning. So if you didn't check by Shachris in the morning, so Beidik B'Shas Abir, he could check at the time when you're supposed to burn, meaning it's after the time that you stop eating, but the time that you have to burn. So you could check then, and then take whatever you find and burn it. But if he didn't check then, which is still the 6th hour, Beidik B'Seich Chag, you check during Yom Tov. Avar Regel, it means Chol Hamoed. Obviously, on Yom Tov we don't check; it's on Chol Hamoed that you check. What happens if Yom Tov passed? It's already after the whole Yom Tov of Pesach, and he didn't check. So you still check after Yom Tov. Why? You still have to find chametz that was in your house that was over Pesach that belonged to you that you're not allowed to eat even after Pesach. So therefore, you still check for that chametz after Pesach because you're not allowed to derive any benefit from that chametz, not eating or anything else. You're not allowed to derive any benefit from that chametz. Number 6, or when you check for the chametz on the 14th, on the night of the 14th, or on the day of the 14th, or on Chol Hamoed, there's a special bracha that we make before we start checking for the chametz. This is the bracha that we make every year. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kidshanu mitzvos v'tzvanu al bir chametz ubaydik umachapes b'chol mekemis and you check and you in all different places that chametz might, as we mentioned in previous chapter, chametz might get into being badak lachal regel. But if you're checking after Yom Tiv, so as we mentioned, you still have to check. But you're not doing a mitzvah at this point, so you do not make a bracha. Number 7, when you finish checking in badak b'leil arba'as or b'yem arba'as or ken sheshais, when you finish checking, if it's the night, the proper time to check, or it is the day, but it's before the 6th hour, before bir chametz, before the time to burn the chametz. So tzarich levatel kol chametz shenisher b'shusei v'nireheu. So then you also make a statement that you nullify any of the chametz that is in your, that you didn't find. You nullify and it's not yours. You make it a half-care. And there's a special paragraph that we say it in Aramaic, but it called chametz shesh b'shusi shleiri isiv. Any chametz that's in my that is in my house that I didn't find, that I didn't see, it is nullified. It's as if it's dust. But what happens if he didn't check earlier? He checked only after the time of burning chametz, or on Chol Hamoed. At that point, you can't nullify. The Torah takes it out of your it takes it out of your shoes, takes it out of your possession. It doesn't belong to you because you're not allowed to derive benefit from it. So it's not in your. It is for the sin of having chametz, but you cannot nullify it anymore. So therefore, if you didn't have a chance to nullify before burning of the chametz, and then Matzah chametz and then he finds chametz in his house, and he forgot about it by the burning of the chametz. So then he goes. There's a sin. It's considered to transgress the prohibition of not seeing and not finding chametz in your possession. There's a verse in the Torah. Because he didn't burn it and he didn't nullify it. And right now to nullify it doesn't help at all. Because it doesn't belong to Vakasav, and the Torah makes it in your possession only only in order to for the transgression of this pasuk of this verse. And now he has the obligation to destroy it, to burn it as soon as he finds it. What if you find it on Yom Tiv, not on Chol Hamoed, not on intermediate days, on Yom Tiv? So kaifel of keli ad l'erev, he should cover it until the evening, until the end of Yom Tiv, until Chol Hamoed umavare, and then he should burn it. What if it would belong to hektish? It belonged to it was holy. So then you don't have to cover it because everybody stays away from it. Hektish is something that we already have on a general day, not just Pesach, that we stay away from it. So Pesach people will still stay away from it, so they'll stay away from it and then you burn it after Yom Tov goes out. Halacha test number 9. What if someone went out of their house on the night before, on the 13th day of the month of Nisan, and they went in order to do a mitzvah or to eat in a sudas mitzvah, like a wedding or something like that, a bris, like an engagement or a wedding, and all of a sudden he's at this wedding and he realizes, hold on a second, I have chametz in my house. If he has the opportunity, run home, take care of the chametz, burn it, and then come back to the sudas mitzvah, so then he should do that. If not, he should nullify it in his heart. He should have kavana that he's nullifying it, nullifying the chametz that he has in his house. If he went, he has some stuff, and all of a sudden he gets news that either there's a bunch of robbers, or there's the river is overflowing, or there's a fire next to his stuff, or a wall fell over on his stuff. So these are all things that he's going to run to save his property, to save his stuff. So he has to run. It's an emergency. He's got to go. So so he should just nullify it in his heart. The chametz he still has at home. He doesn't have to run back and burn it. He has to nullify it, and that's it. But if he went stam just for his own pleasure, and all of a sudden he remembers that he has chametz in his house, he should return right away to his house. How much does he have to have in his house in order to need to go back in order to burn it? If he has chametz the size of an egg. But if the chametz that he had left in his house was smaller than the size of an egg, he can just nullify it in his heart, and that is enough. Halacha Yud number 10. Someone who put aside dough. It's on. This is referring to Chol Hamoed. So as we know, you're allowed to make dough on Pesach. We don't. We're very careful about this, but you're allowed to make dough in order to make matzah. You're not allowed to make bread, but you're allowed to make matzah. But what happens if you make dough and you leave it for too long, the 18 minutes or whatever, you leave it for too long, all of a sudden it rises and it becomes chometz. So this guy made dough, or this woman made dough, left and had to run out of the house, right? So they left the dough rising in the house. And all of a sudden he remembers, says, hold on a second, I have dough in the house, it's rising, it's going to become chometz soon. And he's sitting in front of his teacher, and he's afraid that by the time he gets home, it will become chometz. So then, what should he do? He should nullify it, that he's making it hefker. It doesn't belong to him, it doesn't belong to anybody, before it becomes chometz, before the 18 minutes or whatever passes. But if he realizes, it's too long and it already became chometz, so the nullification does not help him at all. He already transgressed this sin of having chametz in his house. And what he has to do is, right when he comes home, he has to burn it. Yud Aleph, number 11, final halacha in this parak, in this chapter. Keitzad bir chametz. How do you destroy chametz? So there's a few options. Certify, you could burn it. Or you can make it into little crumbs, and throw it into the wind. That way it becomes part of the dust. Or you can throw it into the sea. What if it was a loaf of bread and it was a hard loaf of bread? And it won't, and the water won't make it, tear it apart quickly. So he has to take it apart and make it into crumbs before he throws it into the sea. If you have chametz, you have a loaf of bread and a wall fell on it. And now there's at least 3 handbreadths of earth that's covering this loaf of bread, a yaser, or more than that, so it's as if it's destroyed. You still nullify it in your heart if it's before the time of burning the chametz. What if you gave it or sold it to a non-Jew before the 6th hour, before the time of burning the chametz? So then you do not need to destroy it. That's what we do, obviously, as we sell our chametz to a guy. If you burnt it before the 6th hour, as a mutter lanis, but Pesach, you could use the ashes on Pesach. But if you burnt it after the 6th hour, right, in a scenario where you found chametz later and you burnt it, so then there, since it at this point you're not allowed to derive any pleasure from it, you can't use it to stoke your fire in your oven, etc. You shouldn't use it to cook, to bake, or to cook. If he cooked or baked, if he used that in order to cook or bake, whatever he cooked or baked you're not allowed to derive any pleasure from it. You're not allowed to use it. And even the ashes are the charcoal. The ashes are not. You're not allowed to use. You're not allowed to derive any benefit from it. Because he burnt it after it was not allowed to have any pleasure. Weren't allowed to have any pleasure from it. With that, we finish Parak 3, the second Parak for today. And
Thank you, Label.
Mazel tov again.
Thank you. All right, we continue. The laws of chametz and matzah, the laws of unleavened and unleavened bread. So the Torah states, Al yirav l'cha chametz, that no chametz shall be seen for you. So perhaps if it were buried or entrusted to a non-Jew, he would not transgress the commandment. You might think that. So the Torah then states, leaven should not be found in your homes, implying even if it were buried or entrusted, right? It's entrusted, but it's still entrusted with, but it's in my home. Then you are, in other words, entrusted with me, and therefore it is something that I have responsibility for. Then it's considered in my home. Perhaps he would only transgress the commandment when chametz is found in his house. But if it were outside of his house, in the field or in another city, he would not violate the commandment. The Torah states, what does it say? B'chol gvulcha. It says, no leaven shall be seen in all of your territory, meaning in all of your possessions. So not just in your home, anywhere that you have a possession and you have chametz there, this is a prohibition that you're not allowed to have that on your property. Perhaps a person will be obligated to remove from his property chametz that belongs to a non-Jew or that was consecrated and it belongs to the holy temple. It doesn't belong to him. Torah states, no leaven shall be seen for you. We may infer from this that you may not see your own chametz. However, you may see chametz belonging to others or which is consecrated. So if it belongs to a non-Jew, it's not a problem. So I can have a non-Jew that owns chametz and it's on my property. Halacha number 2. From the above, you can learn that chametz belonging to a Jew, which was left in his possession, even though it is buried, is located in another city, or is entrusted to a non-Jew, causes him to violate the commandments. Leaven shall not be seen, and leaven shall not be found. Right? So chametz that either was consecrated or belongs to a non-Jew, and is located within the Jew's property, even if it was with him at home, behold, this is permitted. Why? For chametz, it's not his, right? It belongs to somebody else. Even if it belonged to a resident alien, meaning a non-Jew has accepted the 7 Noachide laws in the land of Israel on the authority of the Jewish people, we need not force him to remove the chametz from his property on Pesach, because it doesn't belong to the Jew who has the obligation to observe this holiday. Nevertheless, it is necessary to construct a partition at least 10 handbreadths high in front of the chametz belonging to the non-Jew, lest one come to use it. Not because it belongs to you, but there's a rabbinic law, because you might come to use it, so therefore cover it up in a manner that you won't come to use it. With regard to chametz, that which had been consecrated, this is unnecessary. Why? Everyone shies away from consecrated property lest they infringe on the prohibition of mi'ilah. So this is holy property that belongs to the holy temple. For this, we don't have a worry because people are very careful with that. They shy away from it. Halacha number 3. A non-Jew who entrusted his chametz to a Jew. Should the Jew accept the responsibility of paying for the worth of the chametz if it was lost or stolen? Behold, he is obligated to destroy it. Since he accepted responsibility for it, it is considered as though it were his. Even though it's not legally his, he just has responsibility, but his responsibility if it's lost or stolen. So it's enough for responsibility that it's considered his, and therefore he has to destroy it. If he did not accept the responsibility for it, he may keep it in his domain and may eat from it after Pesach, for it was the non-Jew's possession. Halacha number 4. Should a non-Jew who forces his way upon people, right? They're tough guys, right? Mafioso, entrust his chametz to a Jew. If the Jew knows that if it would get lost or stolen, the non-Jew would obligate him to pay for it, forcing and compelling him to pay even though he did not accept responsibility, he's obligated to destroy it because it's as if it's his. It is considered as though it were his, for the non-Jew holds him responsible for it, even though not legally, right? But he's just one of these mafiosos. Halacha number 5. A Jew who brings his chametz to a non-Jew as security for a loan and tells him, if I do not bring the money between today and such a date, you acquire the chametz retroactively from the present moment. The chametz is considered to be the non-Jew's possession and is permitted to be used after Pesach. This applies if the date specified was before Pesach. In other words, retroactively, if it's yours from before Pesach. If he did not tell him, you acquire the chametz retroactively from the present moment, that the chametz is considered as an article entrusted to the non-Jew, and it is forbidden to benefit from it after Pesach. So, because it's still considered yours, right? Because it's not retroactively, it becomes a non-Jews, it's yours, and chametz that is yours after Pesach, you did not get rid of it, it is not permitted to have any benefit from it, so you can't use it. Halacha number 6. A Jew and a non-Jew are traveling together in a ship, and the Jew possesses chametz. When the 5th hour and the 14th of Nisan arrives, behold, he should sell it to the non-Jew or give it to him as a present. he may return and buy it back from him after Pesach, as long as he gives it to him as an outright present. So during the holiday, Pesach has to belong to the non-Jew outright, but after Pesach, I could buy it back from him. But you can't make that as a stipulation. Actually, this is right now, he says. The Jew may tell the non-Jew, rather than buy the man's worth of chametz, come and buy 200 dinars worth of chametz. Rather than buy from the non-Jew, come and buy from the Jew. Perhaps I will need chametz and will buy from you after Pesach. So this is the deal that he's making. However, you cannot sell and give the chametz to him on a condition. If he does so, behold, he transgresses a prohibition. Leaven shall not be seen and leaven shall not be found. In other words, it's got to be outright belonging to non-Jew. If it's on a condition, so then since it's conditional, it's not 100% owned by the non-Jew, and therefore it is not. You're transgressing a prohibition of the Torah. Halacha number 8: a person who possesses a mixture of chametz, not outright chametz, transgresses the prohibitions. Leaven shall not be seen, and leaven shall not be found because of it. For example, pickle brine, Babylonian kotash, and a medium beer, which are made from flour. So they're a mixture with other things. So yet it is part of leaven, because any leaven, it's not just bread from leaven, right? The same applies to other substances which are eaten. However, a substance which contains a mixture of chametz, but is not fit to be eaten, may be kept for Pesach. It's not an edible product, right? So there might be chametz in some kind of cleaning stuff that you have, right? That's not fit to eat. So therefore, it is not something we have to worry about. How is the latter principle applied? A tanner's trough into which he places flour and animal hides, even if this was done 1 hour before the time of chametz, must be destroyed. One may keep it. If one places flour in the trough without animal hides 3 days before the time of chametz, must be destroyed. One may keep it, because it's 3 days. For the chametz will surely become spoiled and rotten. Within 3 days, one is obligated to destroy. But within 3 days, it's not going to get rotten. And since it's there without the skins, the hides, therefore you need to get rid of it. Number 10. Similarly, an eye salve, a compress, a plaster, or a tyrant into which chametz was placed may be kept on Pesach. For the nature of chametz is that it gets spoiled. This is for healing purposes, right? So these things can be, they get spoiled, and therefore it's not a problem. Bread, number 11, itself, which has become moldy and is no longer fit for consumption by a dog, or a compress that has been spoiled, need not be destroyed, right? Because it's not edible. It's not for human consumption. Even what's the proof? An animal can't even eat. Clothes that were washed with starch, and similarly, papers that were stuck together with chametz, and other like cases may be kept on Pesach. Their possession does not constitute a violation of the prohibition. Leaven shall not be seen, and leaven shall not be found, for they no longer have a form of chametz. The question of eating is a different story, but here we're talking about the law of not seeing yours or any or found in your territory of anything that is a form of chametz, right? And the final halacha, a substance which is not eaten by people, or one which is generally not eaten. Sorry, a substance which is not eaten by people, or one which is generally not eaten by people, with which chametz has become mixed, tyrek and the like. I don't know what that is exactly. Though one may keep it during Pesach, eating it is prohibited until after Pesach. Oh, you see here he says it. Even though it contains only a smallest amount of chametz, eating it is forbidden. And with that, we conclude today's Tanya. Any questions? Hi, Tanya. Today's Rambam. Any questions? Any issues? All clear.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm listening.
Oh, okay. At the end of cleaning whatever I've done, if I've missed something, I remember the phrase, anything that I've left behind shall be as the dust of the earth. And hopefully that
Right.
covers
No,
the rest.
so remember learning the Rambam over here, the actuality of the day-to-day keeping of this is a little different or nuanced a little differently. So first of all, we sell chametz, outright for the 8 days of Pesach, and it's then bought back afterwards after Pesach. That's one thing. We do burn it, and we do put away. And what we do is we put it away, and we just, like all the pots and pans, you don't have to clean that if you are put a piece of tape on the cabinet
I've got the foil.
as a sign for you that this was sold, and therefore you shouldn't come to use anything there. Then you don't need to check it. You don't need to sell it, or I mean to get rid of it. Or actually, it's part of the selling, because maybe there is chametz there.
Okay.
Yeah, so absolutely correct. Yeah, there's in the selling of the chametz, which is very important. We'll get into that. Is a very detailed, contract on what the sale is and what's being sold. But what we need to know is we put away the things that we're not going to be using. That's chametz, or we keep the chametz in our cupboard. I take a string, tie the two knobs together, so it serves as a sign to remind me that this has been sold. And if a non-Jew comes in on Pesach and wants the box of Cheerios, let him take it.
Okay. Yasha Kor, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Any other questions? All right. Beautiful. Oh, 1 second. Since we're learning Rambam, I have my Talmudic cap, David Liba. This is my, if I need some extra inspiration. So I get extra inspiration from my Talmudic cap, Liba and Davida.
Is that a birthday present?
I came on my birthday, but I think it was just whatever. Thank you, David and Liba. All right, beautiful. Beautiful. All right, wishing everybody a wonderful Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbos Mavorchim, wonderful.
Birth, Rabbi.
And
Happy
Thank you,
birthday,
Rabbi.
Rabbi.
Happy birthday, Rabbi.
Shalom and
Happy
happy
birthday.
birthday.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Thank you for all the
Shabbat shalom,
blessings.
everybody. Hi, good Shabbos.
Mazel tov, Rabbi.
Thank you. Thank you for all the blessings. Thank you for all the brachas. Only good things for everybody. God bless you all.
God
Bye-bye.
bless you as
Shalom.
well.
Bye-bye.
Shabbat shalom.